Good morning. Thank you all for being here. Houston firefighters appreciate your interest in the status of the petition for pay parity or equal pay with our brothers and sisters at the police department. As we begin this morning, I want to thank the tens of thousands of Houstonians for their support in getting this initiative and the petition on the November ballot. We also appreciate all the support from the business community, families, citizens, friends all over Houston. We also want to thank the many police officers, municipal employees, our fellow brothers and sisters in labor for their support. This morning, we're going to discuss the mayor's refusal to confirm that he will certify the 32,000 validated petition signatures we turned into the city. We'll discuss our options for going forward, and we'll ask for citizens who support firefighters to call City Hall and demand that our equal pay initiative get on the November ballot. With me this morning is Attorney David Feldman. David is the former city attorney of Houston. Also joined with us is Councilmember Dwight Boykins, a staunch supporter of firefighters and getting fair and equal treatment. In a moment, Mr. Feldman and Councilmember Boykins will make remarks, and I'll be available to take questions afterwards. I received word earlier this morning that an emergency came up that Councilmember Kubash could not make it. I also want to point out that we have been in contact with many council members who have expressed their support in working to get this on the November ballot. This is about democracy, and this is about the ability of one to petition their government in which the citizens will have a say-so. The firefighters have exhausted numerous resources in order to get fair and equal treatment. We hope we can continue to work with the city, and for fair and equal treatment of the firefighters turns into putting our petition on the November ballot so that the citizens of Houston can decide. We have said it before, enough is enough. If democracy cannot prevail here, I don't know what can. I'm going to call up right now David Feldman, the former city attorney of Houston, who is our elections attorney for the association. David.
Good morning. It troubles me as a former city attorney that we find ourselves in a situation today where there appears to be an adversarial relationship between City Hall and the firefighters in terms of trying to get this petition counted. As most of you probably know, there are two charter amendment petitions pending in the city secretary's office. One is a petition that was filed back in April, which was intended to establish a 401k plan or 401k plans for new employees of the city, regardless of whether they were classified or non-classified. And the other petition, of course, is what we refer to as the parity petition that's filed by the firefighters more recently. The city is taking the position that they have to count the 401k petition before they can go ahead and count the firefighters' parity petition. I disagree with that. The matter of pensions, as you know, is a question of state law. And state law preempts any local law with respect to pensions. Specifically, of course, we have the reform bill that the mayor drove through the legislature that has provision dealing with the pensions or how you treat new employees with respect to pensions. Well, that is in direct conflict with this 401k petition that is pending in the city secretary's office. So the city can clearly take the position that the matter of that 401k petition is preempted by state law, put that petition on the side, and count the firefighter petition. What we're hearing from City Hall is, well, they have no choice. They have to count it. Well, let me give you some perhaps extreme hypotheticals. What if a charter amendment petition was filed stating that the city shall require that the Dallas Cowboys move to Houston? Now, would anybody suggest that that charter amendment petition would have to be counted? Well, no, because the city has absolutely no control over that. Or perhaps someone files a charter amendment petition saying that the city of Houston shall establish a militia. Would anybody question whether or not that had to be counted? No, it's a matter that's clearly preempted by state and federal law. We see this as no different, and we of course would ask that the city recognize that, put that petition on the side, and go ahead and count the firefighters' petition. Time is a wasting. If we're talking about getting this on the November 2017 ballot, an election order has to be issued by the 21st of August. I can tell you, having reviewed them myself, that the firefighter, or the parity petition as we call it, is in very good shape and can be counted relatively easily. All the registered voters have specifically been identified by voter ID. It's a question of getting on a computer and double checking that, which can be done. Unfortunately, instead of trying to work with the firefighters on this, the city seems to be resisting the firefighters. Something happened last week that was personally troubling to me. The president of the union, Marty Langton, had gone to see the city secretary. I had suggested to him that that would be a good idea for him to visit with the city secretary and see what's happening with the petition. And during the course of the conversation, the city secretary indicated to him that she did not have the resources to count both petitions. And in response to that, Mr. Langton stated that, well, the firefighters could provide financial assistance to hire temporary employees or to pay for overtime in order to get the petitions counted. Well, I thought that was certainly a good faith gesture if money was the object. But instead, what happened in response, the city issued a statement suggesting that what Marty Langton did in making that offer in response to Anna Russell's statement that she didn't have the money, that the city maintained that Marty needed to be investigated by the city attorney's office for potentially engaging in the improper influence of a public official. Not only is that absurd on its face, but the fact of the matter is, we do have a separate law in Texas under Chapter 143 of the Local Government Code that states that if you are going to investigate a classified officer, it has to be done in a certain way. And it's not done by issuing a statement to the media. We'd like to get all that behind us. We'd like to do whatever we can to assist the city in trying to get this petition counted so it can go on the November ballot. We believe that given the record time within which these petition signatures were gathered, it's a clear indication that the people of Houston want the same thing. They want the opportunity to vote on this and to vote on it in November. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Councilmember Dwight Boykin, who has a few comments to make as well.
Thank you, David. I have some prepared remarks here. I stand with the firefighters asking our city to put the firefighters' equal pay ballot initiative on the November 2017 ballot, and that they've gathered over 50,000 signatures in support of this request. We owe it to our firefighters and to the voters of the city of Houston to ensure that this process operates as it should. We must ensure that there is an efficient yet speedy process of validating the required number of signatures, and then once that requirement is met, provide voters in the city of Houston the opportunity because it's critical that their vote and their voice is being heard. Again, the firefighters. Well, I want to add something to what Dave Feldman just mentioned about Marty and the situation. I read that in the Chronicle as well, and I just found it disheartening that there's any type of investigation in what he was trying to do. I don't have all the facts on it, but I do know this, that what he was doing was in good taste of trying to get this process moving quicker, and I stand by that because I know his character. So I want to be clear about that. I would stand with Marty, I would stand with these firefighters, but I know he's a man of character and he's just trying to do what's best for his union. Thank you.
Would anybody have any questions we'll take between either myself, Councilmember Boykins, or David Feldman? We'll be happy to answer.
Marty, the technicality, correct me if I'm wrong, seems to be that the city contends that first they have to count the signatures regarding the 401k plan, and after that they can go ahead and count the signatures for the parity petition. Is that pretty much it?
That's probably a good question for the mayor and city council, but I think that they've been turning to April doing.
That is a position that they're taking, that they have to count the other one first. Now remember, they've had that other petition since April. And again, there is that issue of preemption by state law regarding anything having to do with pensions. So we believe very strongly that the city secretary has every right to put that 401k petition on the side and count the firefighters' parity petition.
And also the deadline, the lack of a better term that you mentioned before, is 2 weeks from today, right?
Right, it's looming. It's looming. And the city's,
21st?
I'm sorry?
It's August 21st?
Oh, yeah, August 21st is the last day that an election order can be issued in order to put something on the November 18 ballot. From wherever you are in Texas, that's when the last date for issuing an election order. It has to be 78 days in advance. So there's not, and of course the city secretary has to count, has to certify, has to present it to council, and council has to issue an election order. So we have very little time.
Do you know, well, of course you do, but at this point, the total number of signatures, how many are there? Because I remember the last time you had a press conference, you said it was a little over 30,000, but it could be more.
Well, the fact is that the petitions themselves have 50,000 signatures on them. 32,000 of those have already been verified with the inclusion of voter ID numbers on the petitions. So it's a very simple task going to a computer and saying, oh yeah, that's right. That individual that has that voter ID, it's valid. And I can tell you from prior experience, not many petitions are submitted in that kind of clean fashion with the voter IDs on them already. So there are 32,000 of those. 20,000 is all that's necessary.
How many?
20,000.
Anybody else?
How does the, if at all, the pension reform just recently passed affect the 401k petition, if at all?
I'm sorry.
So the pension reform that just passed, does it have any effect at all on?
Well, that in fact is the point.
Yeah.
It's the state has exclusive authority. It has exercised that authority through that reform legislation that addresses pensions for new employees. The very same thing that the 401k petition attempted to address. So that petition is preempted by state law.
Would you use the word moot at this point?
I'm sorry?
Would you use the word moot at this point?
That's a good word to use as well. Yes, it certainly is. Because we have a state law that now addresses it.
Any other questions? I want to thank you guys, and I want to thank David, everybody here, Councilmember Dwight Boykins, for coming. We have had and continue to have an open door policy with the city. I have reached out numerous times, more than 20 in the last few months, to say that the firefighters of Houston continue to be ready to work with the city. And the city trying whatever it can to distract from what's going on, again, is disheartening. The firefighters have suffered for long enough. We continue to do everything that we can in order to work with the city, as we have provided unprecedented data and research in order to move the fire department in a positive direction. And we believe over the years, continually, the city has put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound, and we're simply trying to find a way. So the ability for one to petition their government is of the utmost importance, and we hope that the city provides the city secretary with the resources needed in which to get these petitions counted so that the citizens of Houston can make their voices heard in November. Thank you all for being out here. We appreciate it.